Alrighty guys, hello and welcome back to the show. So today I have a webcam now, in case you didn't notice. I'm not going to do these intros all the time or really ever again after this, but yeah, this is the inaugural run of my webcam and wanted to say hi, like face to lens right now. It's super weird talking to this little square thing that's on top of my monitor, but that's fine. I bought this for an upcoming interview with Tatsu that will be going live here in a few days. So if you're not subscribed, make sure that you're subscribed for that. That's going to be on Sanctuary. But yeah, I'm going to start incorporating this into a lot of my streams and casts and stuff like that. So you get to see all the weird faces and objectively bad body language that I guess I have. So anyway, before I dig myself into any further of a hole, let's go ahead and get into the replay review. Yeah. So for today, we're going to be looking at a replay review 4v4 ladder match going down on Adaptive Zone. We've seen this map before several times in the past, so it shouldn't be really anything new to anybody. Let's introduce our players real quick. This was sent over to me by Cast Iron Kasim, and he's asking for some help on how to better transition from Tech 1 to Tech 2, Tech 2 to Tech 3, and getting experimentals, all that stuff that, you know, a lot of us struggle with. So let's go ahead and introduce our players here real quick. Up in the far north corner, we have got Sabu Arthur. And we've got the man himself, Cast Iron Kasim, who's going as the UEF. Next, we've got Ganj, who's going Seraphim. Down to the south, we've got a dialectician, who sounds like a dietitian that was elected. I would never elect a dietitian myself, but, you know. Next, we've got Fulgen Cloak, who's down here going as Cybran. We've got another Cybran in Stanky Witch. All right. And to his north, we have Wazap, the throwback to the 90s, and he's going UEF. And last but not least, another Cybran. So 3 Cybrans here on team number 2. We have got Novacek, by the way. Is that right? Yeah, Novacek, by the way. Who is Novacek? I'm trying to remember. I feel like that's somebody important that I have forgotten in my brain. But he's going Cybran. Anyway, we're going to be focusing on Cast Iron Kasim today. So he's going UEF. He's got 2 engineers on the Hydro. Didn't build his other mexes with his commander. So what you want to do, I've talked about this on stream before. You don't need this power generator, actually. Especially on a map like this with the Hydro so close to your main base. You literally just plant your commander here in its starting line. You go factory, all 4 of your mexes. 2 engineers go to the Hydro, which is good. And then you walk your commander there to assist the Hydro. And you'll squeak by with like an extra 50 to 150 energy. But walking out of base with your commander without building these 2 mexes, mucho ungoodo. My Spanish is not that great. Anyway. UEF commander walking towards the middle. We do have some aggression coming out. We're going to speed this up just a little bit because this is a little bit of a longer game. So we're not going to dwell too much on the tactics and techniques that everybody is going through. But so again, like walking your commander forward, you built 1 mex here. You didn't build this mex. Like at least if you're going to walk your commander out of your base, build all the mexes that are along the way. Don't leave that to engineers. And then you're going to give up this reclaim pile. So first thing that you need to do is always on every map, zoom out, hit Control Shift, get an idea of what the reclaim looks like. And if there are any neutral buildings, sometimes these will not show up as reclaim on the screen, but they are important whenever it comes to reclaim. So you definitely need to keep those in mind. As it is right now, you're giving Novacek the entirety of the reclaim here. And you're using the little mass that you have to get 8 Tech 1 land factories in addition to the one that you have here in the middle. This is about 5 or 6 more than you need on this map. Because if you think about it, like on this map, you're not dealing with like a whole lot of attack surfaces that you have to deal with. So you can get by with 4 total Tech 1 land factories because you're not going to be able to afford all of these anyway. Like what does this turn into as far as mass goes? This is 240, so this is almost 2,000 mass here in just factories, and you're stalling by, you know, 30 or so trying to get a Tech 1 mass extractor up. And so this goes back to my build order video, as we're going to bring it back to regular speed and go back to regular sim speed here. But if you go back to my build order video, hey, you're getting gun now too. Jesus Christ. Okay. So let's pause here for a second. Let's look at this. Look at this for a second. So we've got max upgrading to Tech 2. We have got 7 land factories currently producing. I think this one might not be producing. So 6 land factories currently producing. This one should be getting ready to produce, and you've got another one mapped. And you're adding a gun upgrade on top of this. So if you look at this, each of these land factories takes 3 mass to make a tank. And some of these are more expensive, like MAA's 4. I think Lobos are also 4 for the UEF. So you're going on average, so this would be, let's say 14 to be safe, to account for the other units here in your mix. You got 14 mass per tick going to those 4 factories. You've got another 10 mass per tick going to these 3 factories, so that's 24. You've got your main factory producing engineers, so that's 27. You're trying to upgrade at -9. You've got an engineer assisting, that's -5. And you've got your commander going, which is -9, sorry. You're doing this all on an economy of 25 total mass income. So these factories are just kind of bogging you down. And if you remember back to, if you haven't watched my build order video, I'll link that down in the description. But we found that we not only produced more units, but also more mass by prioritizing a Tech 2 max upgrade early on in the game. So like sub 3 minutes. Get 2 engineers working on that after you get kind of your initial mexes up. Here you've got 6. That should still work for, or actually you've got 7. That should still work for a 3 to 4 minute Tech 2 mass upgrade. And then scrap like 4 of these factories. Don't go for gun yet. So you're trying to do too much at one time right now, which is kind of the bane as well as the boon of the streaming based economy that Supreme Commander is built off of, as well as other RTSs of this same genre. I guess you'd call them Chris Taylor type games. That's what Tatsu liked to call them in our interview. Is that it does allow you to do all of these things at the same time, but at the same time you do all of them not as well. So it's a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing whenever you're trying to build a Mavor later, that you don't have to sacrifice your entire economy and stockpile to just build a Mavor and then build, and you can't build ASF or tanks or something like that. But it's a curse in these kinds of situations where it allows players to overextend their economy at this point. So that'd be a good thing to work on right now, just as far as transitioning, because if you remember, mass is a very exponential kind of curve where the more you can get ramping early, the better you are going to be as you move into the later stages of the game here. So just keep that in mind. You know, the more mass you get earlier, the better you're going to end up being in the later game. And there are times where you don't prioritize max upgrades and you prioritize units instead. But in the early game, especially if your opponent isn't really being aggressive, which he isn't, you know, you can turn off these factories. So let's jump up the speed here a little bit and continue on. Oh, and your ally to the north is Mega Omega dead. Or at least he should be, if Novacek is paying attention, which he is. Yeah, Mantis going to be able to deal with that commander. And that transitions over to your southern player. Okay, so then he gives it over to you. And you can see already, like, the economy of your ally here is in a better position because he just didn't go for as many Tech 1 land factories. And unfortunately, he overextended with his commander, which came back to bite him. Oh, you're going to get a great positioning here on Novacek. Great move with your gun. So you're doing a lot at the same time, but at least you are getting value out of it. Like, his commander is in really, really bad shape here at under 2k HP. You don't really have to worry about these Tech 1 units because you have gun. You're going to be perfectly fine. So that's great. You know, at least whenever you overextended your economy, you turned it into something which was commander damage. It would have been great if you could have killed him, and it would be great if you secured this reclaim that you created, but playing aggressive whenever you have an advantage is good. Now this, I'm not a huge fan of going for Tech 2 here, because there's not really any reason to go for Tech 2 here. You're not really in a defensive position. You're actually in a very offensive position. You have a commander that's nearly dead. Orange is in his own private Idaho down here. So there's not really any reason why you would want to go for Tech 2 here. Because you're not really under any pressure. And you have more than enough units to deal with any pressure that is on the field, considering you can also bring your commander to bear. Okay, so we do have Tech 2 mechs coming in now. You're at, wow, you've got a good eco all of a sudden now that you inherited this guy's base. So you're at 114. And you're upgrading all of these factories to Tech 2. All right, we're going to pause there. So, the amount of mass that you spend on a unit and the amount of value that you get out of the unit increases with each tech level. Sort of. Well, it's not a linear increase. Like, the amount of value that you get per mass that you expend is not linear as you jump from Tech 1 to Tech 2 to Tech 3. But that being said, what does increase exponentially is the amount of firepower that you can fit into a smaller place on the map. So as you're making the jump from Tech 1 to Tech 2 to Tech 3, if you had 8 Tech 1 land factories, and this is assuming you could run all of these, which you couldn't, you don't need 8 Tech 2 land factories to be able to control the same area because, sorry about hitting my microphone there, because you're able to control the same area with fewer units because you have more firepower that is condensed into a smaller area on the map. So, I mean, I would have done this a long time ago. I wouldn't have built these 4 factories, but I would have control K'd probably 5 of them, 4 or 5 at least, and gone on 3 Tech 2 supporting land factories, have these start producing pillars and mongeese, then make the move to Tech 3 on your HQ. Like I think on your HQ right now, you just need Tech 2 engineers and then Tech 2 power, unless you have it over here, which you don't. So Tech 2 engineers out of here and then Tech 2 power, and then just go straight for Tech 3. Like, can you afford that? You're stalling a ton of mass right now. Okay, you're stalling a ton of mass because you're building a ton of triads. Again, you're not under attack. These triads are just trying to mine their way through this cliff. And these triads, they don't really accomplish anything because you're trying to creep into an existing fire base. And this is how that's going to go for you here. You're going to be trying to build these things while they're under fire. And he's even going to bring his commander out, which is now fully healed. And then you have to turn tail and run. And you spent all of this on a point defense creep that's not going to go anywhere. Unfortunately. And then Orange has woken up and smelled the coffee. You have Tech 2 units there. You'll be able to clean that up. You need to turn off one of these factories and start getting reclaim. Do a control attack move or an alt attack move out of the factory. You'll be able to get all of that. What is this? Oh, it draws now. How do I get rid of it? Does it fade? Oh, it fades. Okay, sweet. Oh, that's great. I don't know whether that was... I tried to get a mod that would draw earlier, as yellow is once again in trouble here. And see, like, this is what I mean. You don't need the defenses. Like, yellow, you have him over a barrel right now. If you had any interceptors or flak in here, this would have been a much better... This would have been a much better engagement. But yeah, so these... point defense right there that I'm now able to highlight, which is awesome on the map. Complete waste of mass, and probably hindered your ability to go to Tech 3 at least. Okay, so you did go Tech 2 power and then go straight for Tech 3, which is great. This needs to be cranking Titans right now. Potentially Percival. Actually, he's already got bricks out there. You might need to go for Percivals at this point. Titans don't trade super well versus bricks. Percivals are much better. And then you also need to destroy these 4 land factories, or at least some of them. Actually, I would destroy all of them because you can make Tech 2 units. Like, the only Tech 2 unit you would really want to make at Tech 3, in my opinion, or 2 Tech 2 units. The only couple of Tech 2 units that you might want to make would be mobile flak and then mobile shields as UEF. And you can make all those from a Tech 3 factory, so not really any point investing mass into factories that you can't operate. But you do have control up here, and God, you're upgrading all of these too. Have these produced any units? Like, have those factories produced anything? If they haven't, you should kill them. You shouldn't upgrade them. TMD back here, great. I forget TMD all the time, so that's great that you're actually thinking about that. You got some Titans coming out, so that's great as well. You got some Tech 3 AA. Okay, so going for Tech 3 AA instead of Flak. The UEF, I am going to do a science video on mobile AA, Tech 2 versus Tech 3. Oh God, he went for a laser. That is a bold strategy, Cotton. It's going to pay off for him because you don't really have a way to punish it. But I do have a video coming out on Tech 2 versus Tech 3 mobile AA. And there's going to be strengths and weaknesses to both of them. That was suggested by a viewer. So yeah, if you have a particular comparison that you want me to do in this game for any of the science videos, drop it in the comments below. I'm more than happy to take a look at them. I won't do all of them because some of them I don't think are super interesting. But some of the ones I do feel like warrant a science video. And maybe if I run out of ideas, then I'll start doing the ones I find less interesting. But yeah, I absolutely destroyed his base here, which is great. Percivals versus Cerberus. That's a story that doesn't end well for the Cerberus. You have Percivals coming over as well as Loyalists from Stanky Witch down at the bottom. Literally nothing has happened here on the bottom side of the map except for that. There's an Ethota coming in. Holy shit. Okay. So this is... What have we got here? Tech 3 Max, Tech 3 Max, Tech 3 Max, Tech 3 Max. Okay. So there are several players that are way better than me that put up with all sorts of my shit whenever I'm playing. Especially if I'm a little bit drunk, like at 1 o'clock in the morning, they will still play with me. And one of them gave me probably the single greatest piece of advice that I think I've ever gotten in FAF, which is if you're not under attack, just eco and stop making units. And that is exactly what this guy did here. You can see he's all core Tech 3 mechs. He's got a freaking Ethota out on the field right now. And he has got an Awasa halfway done at 30 minutes into the game on a map that really is not that great for like rushing experimentals. Like each player has, well, I guess the corner player has like, this player has a little bit more mass available to him. But a lot of the players on this map, you know, you're only working with like 7 to 8 mexes. Like you're not working with like 15 mexes like you are in some of the games that I host. So just not doing anything and then ecoing. And you can look at his base. Like he doesn't have a shitload of point defense. He's got a radar here to know if he needs to do anything. And then he's got Tech 3 air. So he's got some strats out there so he can respond that way. And that's literally it. His army, like pretty much most of the units that he's built in this game are down here, pushing with this Ethota, and it's because red never pressured him. So I feel like I've made my point here. If you're not getting pressured, just eco and build experimentals. Like that's the best thing you can do. The worst thing you can do is throw your units into point defense for no reason. So we got a attack missile snipe attempt here on WhatsApp. But that's going to be the end of our red player here. And it should be the end of pretty much everybody else. Yellow going for teleporter. Again, highly ambitious upgrade. And now with the torpedo bombers that are coming in, no way he survives. And the Ethota, even though red has Tech 3 land, like there's loyalists here, like he's got Othams in support. There's no air from Team 2. So they get kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. The yellow player's gonna bow out here. Awasa's gonna finish the job. So at the end of the day, let's talk about the things you did well. You inherited another base and you didn't die. That's bravo. Like, I freak out every time, and I'm not being sarcastic at all. I flip shit every time I inherit another base. Your initial build order, though, is trash, without mincing words. You You got too many Tech 1 LAN factories. You upgraded too many of them. You upgraded too many of them again. And then you missed your 2 mexes here in the base, which, you know, I mean, think of it as like opportunity cost, okay? If it takes you, say it takes you a minute to build these Tech 2 mexes, whenever, you know, let's say it takes you to minute 2 to build these Tech 2 mexes, like in game, the second minute of the game, to build these Tech 1 mexes initially, and your commander could have finished them by like 50 seconds in. That's 1 minute and 10 seconds. Each of those is going to produce 4 mass. That's quick math. It's 280 mass that you missed out on from those mexes. That's one of these land factories that you built in the initial parts of the game. So, you know, I dogged you for building too many Tech 1 land factories, but, you know, you could have afforded another Tech 1 land factory if you had built these 2 mexes like right at the beginning of the game. You wouldn't have stalled near as hard. And again, mass is a exponential scale. So the more mass you can get earlier, the more mass you can get faster. It's the best way to put it. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the webcam. Let me know. I feel like I can be more expressive on this thing, and I'm kind of a character. And some of the people that I've like, because I've met some people like on FAF, and I've become like really, really good friends with them. And so like they've added me on Facebook and stuff like that. And some people reach out to me and they're like, you are not what I imagined whenever I heard your voice. So hopefully I don't know, not a disappointment as far as like everything. I don't know how many people imagine like a tall white blonde dude, but either way, that's who I am. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.